Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to the bonus extra video for my theatre etiquette video. If you haven't seen the main video, then I will link a card and also link it in the description. This video was a side tangent which I think was too important to cut out completely, but also was making the original video extra long, so it's now this extra video. And in this video I'm talking about how theatre creatives and the theatre community can help steer and manage audience behaviour through the creative choices that we make. So without further ado, let's get into that bonus footage. I don't think anyone is trying to exclude anyone from this community by saying these things, and I'm sure I'll probably get comments being like, people should know better and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, how do you know? How do you know how to behave in a situation? It's either by being told or going over and over and over again, and there are loads of people who don't get to go to the theatre over and over and over again. The theatre is expensive in the West End, especially with musicals. It's increasingly people coming for like big special occasions. Like most of the time, if I'm on the bar and I'm like, have you come from far, is it a special occasion? It's always like, oh, it's our anniversary, oh, it was a Christmas present, oh, it's like a hen do, or like it's so-and-so 60 or whatever, you know. It's always a big occasion, and you know that they've had some drinks before, they've gone out for a meal, they're coming to the bar, they're getting a bottle of wine to share, you know. People want to have a good time. How people have a good time is a socially and culturally engineered thing, right? If we want theatre to be inclusive, if we want to bring theatre to people who don't usually go and say, hey, you can do this too. If you want to do something fun, if you want to do something different, if you want to have a night out in London on the town, you can go and see a show. Like, and you will have fun. If we want that, we've got to accept the fact that like theatre rules are going to shift and change with the kind of audiences that we have. I can't believe I'm now agreeing with that Guardian article that I hated. There's a Guardian article words to the same effect, and when I first read it, I'll link it in the description if I can find it again, but when I first read it I was like, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people like punching ushers. Like, you're completely off base. And yes, don't punch ushers, obviously. I think where I do agree with that article is that draconian, like, you should never do this, you should never do that, that just doesn't reflect the messiness that is society and the different types of theatre that there are. I think the initiatives that ATG announced in terms of talking with producers about the kind of marketing, I think that helps, because I do think it can be really confusing for audiences that aren't familiar with the standard theatre etiquette. If a poster's been like dance in the aisles and then you're told off for wanting to dance in the aisles, that's confusing, right? So I do think there is something to be said in how shows are marketed. Another thing that I think is really helpful for producers to do is adding things like pre-show announcements, especially with jukebox musicals. I actually went with some friends to see Mamma Mia. I'd never seen it before, and Mamma Mia is notorious for bad theatre behaviour, bad audience behaviour. You know, lots of people singing along, a lot of hen parties, etc. And they actually had a pre-show announcement where I specifically remember the wording. The wording was, leave the singing to the professionals. And then it said, there'll be a point at the end where you will have the opportunity to sing and dance along with the cast, which is basically just like 3 songs where it is like no plot is happening. You just get to sing along to Waterloo and Dancing Queen and whatever the other big one is, probably Mamma Mia, let's be honest. Did it completely stop people from singing along? No. From where I was sat, I could hear some people singing, but they were singing under their breath. It was almost as if they didn't realise that they were singing along. And it did stop people from like completely belting out along with the cast when like plot was meant to be happening. I think, like I said in the main video, that really helped to set the audience vibe and the audience expectations, especially with a show like Mamma Mia, where you're going to get a lot of audience members who maybe don't go to the theatre that often. Like I said, big hen party crowd, and I can see why. Like, that show is perfect for hen dos. If you want a video about Mamma Mia, let me know. It made it really explicit for an audience where there may be people who might think that this is a sing-along type of show, that that's not what's expected. And, you know, give them the little bonus of like, at the end you can do that because we know you want to, but like during the show, this is what we expect of you, which can really help in curbing audience behavior. It does depend on the audience, you know, hearing the announcement because they're in the auditorium at that time and things like that, but you know, there's only so much you can do really. Also, how shows engage with their audience. The first few minutes of a I'm going into a tangent, if this tangent makes it in, it makes it in. If it's a separate video, it's a separate video. But the first few minutes of a show are really important because they set up the contract almost between the performers and the audience and what this show is. I'm just like thinking about the opening to Moulin Rouge versus the opening to Come From Away or Hamilton, for example. When you think of the opening of Come From Away or Hamilton, you're not thinking, woo, party! You're thinking, I'm being told a story. When you think of the opening of Moulin Rouge, where it's like, you have the Moulin Rouge song, Creole Lady Marmalade, that's the one. And then Ziedler's like, hello chickens, here I am, na 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 na. Harold Ziedler in the flesh, like complete direct address, encouraging people to whoop. Like it feels like a party. It feels like you're being au paired through a night out, essentially. It's a different vibe that sets up the audience to behave in different ways. If we as theatre creatives, as people who are making theatre, want or care, because again, from the creative standpoint, as not like, it's not our job really. It's not our job isn't audience behavioral management. Our job is audience entertainment. But if we want to create shows where, you know, people are all on the same page in terms of behavior, that's also something that we can steer, you know. Are we telling a story or are we making a party? And then liaising with venues and venue staff to be like, this is the atmosphere we want to create. How do we create that atmosphere safely and not mix people up? Because I think this is my last point, then I am going to wrap up this video. I'm so sorry editing me. It's just like, yeah. But like, because this is the other thing, is like, you rarely have the extent of audience conflict where it's getting to the point of altercations with things like plays. Because a play is really obvious, right? A play, obviously you're being told a story. It might be a funny story, it might be a farce, it might, whatever, but you're being told a story, you're being told a narrative. That's the central focus. And so people know and are aware that like you need to hear what's going on, so like people aren't going to talk or be massively disruptive because they're engaging in the story aspect of it. So that's ideally, if it's well written, that's holding their attention, so they're less likely to want to like talk and do their own thing. And then also I think people, unless they're completely selfish, are aware of like, if I talk, other people won't hear what's going on, including people in my own party. They might miss like plot points, you know? Whereas with a musical, especially with jukebox musicals, if the story isn't at the forefront, I think people can forget that like actually plot is meant to be happening, especially with jukebox musicals where they're like, oh, it's not my favorite song. And it's like, this song, if the show is well constructed, has a narrative purpose though. So like, I want to hear what the narrative purpose is. You know, I want to hear those lines that they've put in, like in this like medley of songs in this musical moment, you know, because they're important to the plot. And if you miss that because people are just like, woo, yeah, oh my God, shut up and dance with me, then you've like, I mean, it doesn't matter in that show, let's be honest, but like you've missed your moment, you know? I'm now waffling as I am wont to do. So I'm gonna do the outro. What is the time? Yeah, I've been talking for an hour and a half, great. Editing me, I love you, I respect you, I can only apologize. So, with this bonus video done, those are all of my current thoughts on theatre etiquette and audience behaviour. I hope you enjoyed both this video and the main video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Come on down. Stay tuned for more theatre content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye friends!